Good.
Welcome, guys, to Sit Down with Dinno, podcast number 3. Today, I have a guest. He's from Jamaica. I think he'll be able to introduce himself.
Hey guys, My name is Russell. I'm Jamaican. I was born in Kingston and I serve here with Dennis, specifically in the same office. So
Yeah, nice. He's my, let's say in high school, called them prefects, but I'm kidding. Yeah, so, well, today we just decided to sit down and have random conversations, and not with the specific thing in mind. So, how is life different from Jamaica and Israel?
It is kind of similar actually. It's
Yeah?
more similar than it's different to
Yeah?
me. Yeah. What I found, I've only been here a few months, but it's very much a condensed environment, you know?
That's
like the roads, the buildings, everything is sort of, it functions, everything works, but it kind of looks, it does, it's definitely not like a Shanghai or New York where everything's glass and metal. It's still very, it has a very hand-built look, very rustic. Yeah.
Yeah, when I first came here, it was confusing to me because, like, for example, in Kenya, we have, like, the roads are not as good as here, but we have, like, big spaces. The environment is not that small. And you find, like, we have big fields where children go and play. But here it's kind of like a cage kind of field.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Like the basketball courts, the tennis courts, the playgrounds are all these big metal cages. Yeah. There's not a lot of grass here. Too much concrete.
True. When I first came, there's a field somewhere down in Azinyot where people go to play soccer. So when I went there, I saw like the field was green. So in my mind, I was like, how does these people keep the field green? I want to realize that it's a plastic grass. Yeah. It's not a real grass. Yeah. And it's quite different from back at home. Everything is like natural. If it's grass, just natural grass. That was one of the things that hit me when I first arrived in Israel.
Yeah, but like another way it's different is like the sense of security. My first day I came here, I was driving from the airport at maybe 12 in the morning. Yeah. And I noticed like everyone has left their cars on the road,
Yeah,
like
that's
the
another
Porsches,
thing.
the BMWs. Yeah. And in Jamaica, that's how you know somewhere is safe. When you see people leaving their cars just on the street, okay, this is somewhere people consider safe. So I was just like seeing all these cars parked outside. I was like, man. And then, you see kids playing in the middle of the night on their bikes. And so, like children, it struck me. I was like, okay, people definitely feel safe here. Yeah.
It's quite of different because when you read from news, you see like everything's about insecurity. Israel is not safe and all this stuff. And then when you come here, you see like people just parking on the street. What shocked me is someone parking Tesla, not just Tesla, like Model Y or something, they're one of the best models on the street. And I'm like, they don't have criminals or something? Because if it was back at home, like, sometimes I don't know if things have changed, but if you park your Tesla on the street,
no,
you won't be able to. Yeah. And another thing that hated me was the culture here. Like, for example, food culture. They eat a lot of bread compared to back home. Like bread is like the main dish, and even though they have a lot of food, but mostly you find is meat and bread. Compared to back at home, you find like we have cassava, we have banana, we have maize or something. That's one of the things that you also found it different. And also the people here is like, I can't really say they're friendly, at the same time you can't say they're not friendly. That kind of thing.
Yeah, it's quite shocking, but they're friendly, but they have a very hard exterior shell. They come across as very gruff and tough. Yeah. But you talk to them for maybe a few seconds, and then they sort of open up suddenly, and that's also very shocking. Like they're very friendly and they smile and they try to make jokes and ask where you're from. But yeah, it's I've never really lived anywhere long enough to observe cultural differences. I've just spent a few weeks here and there outside of Jamaica, but I've noticed that it seems to be something of like like how you greet people, or how you meet them for the first time. You kind of get a vibe here from the locals that try and like test you.
Yeah.
And then if they like you, they sort of open up and
I think it's just the place itself. Like if you travel maybe from Haifa, because I think we're mostly in Haifa and Tel Aviv, but I find like if you travel outside Haifa, you'll find that there's some historical sites which are also mostly tied to Christianity, which is also interesting, that's one of the things. So you have never left Jamaica apart from coming here in Israel?
No, I've been to China before to visit my sister. She lives there. So I've been to Shanghai, I've been to Nanjing, I've been to Linyi, which is where I was supposed, where my destination, which is where Confucius resided. He's the one, he was that great philosopher who made the abacus and all these things. I've been to Switzerland. And while I was in Switzerland, I had a brief foray into France. But those were just maybe a week or two.
Yeah.
So here, when I came to Israel, for the first time, I left home and like stayed somewhere long enough to say I lived.
Like more than a month or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Sure.
So
how about you?
Well, I think the only country I've traveled to so far is Israel, Georgia, and other countries just for transit, not like really staying that much. When I went to Georgia, one of the things that I observed is those guys, they have a lot of culture. They have like I won't say, like it's just an interesting culture whereby people drink a lot of alcohol. Yeah, everywhere you go on the street, it's like there's always a shop for alcohol or something. And then they have a traditional way of making, how do you call this? Wine from how do you call this stuff? Grapes.
Okay.
And they just do it with legs. And there's a place that I visited, and they just like make it naturally with their legs. It was one of the interesting places. And also they have like one of the other places that I visited was far away outside Georgia city. They have like building inside the mountain. Like those historical sites where like people, one of the questions that people usually ask is like, how did they build inside the mountain? And then inside the mountain, there's a way that they could allow air to go through and water to go through. It was just interesting. Like,
I don't know anything about Georgia. Like,
it's a small country. Yeah. It's very small. Like,
until I came here and people, friends say, "Oh yeah, we traveled to Georgia for vacation." I'm like, "Why Georgia? What's over there?" But it seems to be very nice.
It's nice. It's small, nice, and also the food is very different compared to most of the places that I've gone to. And also, people there are very like nice people. They're very interesting. But one thing that I noticed while we were there, we saw like 4 or 5 accidents on the streets. So you're just crossing, like 2 seconds after crossing the street, one person just bumped into another person, and most of the cars, they don't have the bumper, the front part of the car is missing because there's always a lot of crazy accidents. And we are crossing one of the road, and this driver was shouting from the car, "Bro, go faster! I don't have time to wait for you."
What language do they speak in Georgia?
English.
Oh, English.
But also they speak, I think some parts speak Russian. And then they have their own language. But mostly the people that I met were speaking English. Okay. Yeah, it was interesting. There's a place also, if you're in the Georgia, the main city, on the mountain, there's a building on the mountain, resembles like the House of Justice here. Yeah. So the building is built on top of the mountain. It's also interesting. And also the type of the house is like Greece. Yeah. Those type of house. Yeah. Also they have like historical, long time history. I don't know if they had the same culture with Greece or Romans or something.
Probably this whole area.
It was interesting. And then we also visited a place where like it was the mountain. It was very close to the clouds. Yeah, it was super cold. Oh. Like you could physically touch the sky, the clouds, like just ice. Oh, wow. And it was like foam or something. Wow. Yeah, it was interesting.
Oh, that's nice. Why did you go there? You're on vacation?
Yeah. So my wife wanted a wedding dress. and she wanted to buy it somewhere else.
Oh.
So that was the only option.
Why leave the country? Why not just buy it here?
Oh, well, also the prices. Like the prices will vary.
Yeah.
Here, most of the things depends where you are, but most of the things are quite expensive. So in Georgia, there's flexibility in terms of prices. It's not as expensive as you might think, but it's also a good place to go for vacation if you guys want to go somewhere else just to... Because you don't need a visa. If you have Israeli visa, you don't need a visa to go to Georgia.
I see. Yeah, we're trying to, because I'm getting married soon, we're trying to figure out
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're trying to figure out where we're going to honeymoon. So it's between Greece and Croatia.
Oh, Croatia.
Croatia is very beautiful.
Yes.
I've never really paid attention until I saw the show Game of Thrones. And then found out it was filmed in Croatia. Because it looks very Mediterranean in the scenes where they shoot. So I thought that's filmed in Italy or somewhere, but it turns out they filmed in Croatia. And, we're thinking about prices and all these things. So.
Yeah, that's one of the consideration. Like, for example, the cheapest place to go is Cyprus. Yeah. I don't know how to say that word. That is the cheapest place to go. Also, Turkey is really cheap. But if you want to go like in natural... like if you want to see like natural things, mountain, rivers, I think Croatia is good. It's better. In Greece, I didn't see that much because it's a small country and they only have like one river that cuts the country into two. Is not as much as you would like to see. It's very few things to see there. Also, if you want to go, you can go to Indonesia.
You see, that's what we're thinking. Like, we just want to know where we can go. That's nice. Yeah. But not also too restrictive in terms of visas, especially for me. And then the pricing also, So not somewhere like Italy or it's gonna be too expensive.
Yeah, I think, like for example, Indonesia is much cheaper. I don't think they have restriction to your passport. Because, like for example, Philippines they go there easily. I've seen a couple of people going there. Israeli goes there for vacations most of the time. And I think you can check that some countries, if you have like maybe Israeli visa or another country visa, like US or something, if you have it in your passport, it's easy for you to just to go there with that visa. That's one thing that you can also check.
Yeah, we have a few months, so it's nice.
Yeah, little more, few months. That's good. So, what can you say about the music culture
in Israel?
In let's just start with Jamaica.
Oh,
I was looking this clip of Vibes Cartel when he was explaining how dancehall came about, and reggae. So you're saying reggae is like a big brother; you can never roll it out, and dance was just like a small boy. It came to be part of the reggae, even though dancehall culture is catching up because of the gangster kind of life. Yeah. And he was mentioning like there's some places in Jamaica where if one person is killed, is all over the news, but in other places if 5 people are killed, you'll never see it in the news. And I was like, that's interesting because it resembles some parts that I know.
So, music culture. It's going to be a long podcast.
Yeah.
So, reggae is king in Jamaica. It was preceded by ska music, mostly.
What is ska music?
It's so hard to describe. If you know Jimmy Cliff.
Yeah, I know Jimmy Cliff, yeah.
And there are some other artists at the time as well. That wasn't reggae. It was Jamaican music. It was distinctly Jamaican, but it's what they call ska. And it's more like folk music, a little bit more country. And then who really obviously took reggae and then transformed it and brought it to the mainstream was Bob Marley, no?
Yeah.
And then it was that way for many years. And then dancehall came about. It was not what it is today in terms of like more gangster themed. It was literally club music. So we would have places where we would go. It wasn't a club. It was just like a empty community center. So a big empty building, no furniture, nothing, and it was literally a hall. So you go there and dance.
So it's just an empty hall.
Yeah, that's it. And it was some of the early stars like Supercat and Sprague Benz, and it was just very fun music. And then it actually had a lot of controversy as well, because some of the subject matter they sang about before it became gangsta was very controversial on the worldwide scene in terms of their sort of targeted communities, especially the LGBTQ communities. So we were infamous for a long time, dancehall singers, for being like that. And then that became popular in some places like Jamaica and the Caribbean, but then very unpopular. So then it shifted again from dancing to these sort of themes, and then to gangsta, which where Vybz Kartel really took it and then transformed the genre. And it is so serious in Jamaica. It is serious to the point where whichever artist is having a lot of success, so Vybz Kartel, for example, he's from a certain city.
Yeah.
His city would claim that music. And then if it's played in other areas where another artist who is his rival, I don't know if you know Mavado.
Mavado, yes.
That could cause serious problems.
So that thing about Goli and Gaza kind of thing.
It was very serious.
Yeah.
And it turned violent at some point.
Yeah. Kartel was explaining something like that they were actually Kartel, him, Mavado, and all of them were in Ninja. This guy called Ninja. Ninja is the one who brought them up.
Yeah.
And when the rival started, all of them were in the same
like a label, like a
the
clique.
same label, yes. And then they divided between them. That was the interesting part to hear, that these guys were working together, and then suddenly they kind of
because Jamaica is so small, man, and there are only so many studios, so many producers, so many resources to make music. Everybody knows everybody at some point. Before Vybz Kartel and Mavado, there was Beanie Man and Bounty Killer, and they were very close professionally at one point, seen together, and then they split. But not at the time, not many people knew that, but they became these like heated rivals. It was like the late 90s, early 2000s rivalry. So yeah, many. I don't know if it's possible that there is even a reggae and a dancehall artist who didn't cross paths at some point, because there's only a couple million people in the whole island,
Yeah. Kartel was explaining that thing. So someone was asking him, why doesn't he sing reggae? And he was like, if there's a reggae beat, I sing on reggae beat. And he was like, because I identify myself as dancehall artist, I won't focus so much on reggae. And the point that he respects a lot Bob Marley is very interesting.
I mean, I would be very surprised if he didn't. I don't know if there's any Jamaican who, not many people in the world maybe, who know Bob Marley, who don't respect him, but Jamaicans for sure. He has a different level of reverence. It wasn't only music. He changed laws. He changed the culture. He changed so much about our country. So and we know this. Just one. There's reggae and dancehall, but also in Jamaica there's gospel, and that's the third head of the sort of that our culture. That's also huge, and it's probably more universal than even reggae and dancehall. Like everybody listens and plays the gospel at some point.
Is that Christopher Martin kind of music?
Yeah. So they're gospel artists.
Yeah.
But they're also, I don't even know what genre you'd call Christopher before. He is a gospel artist, but he also makes other types of music.
Yeah.
You could call it reggae.
What about Chakademus?
There's, what's his name? Romain Virgo. Yeah, they do all sorts of other genres, but they also do gospel, no? And they started mostly in that sort of area. I remember when Christopher Martin came up on a show called Rising Stars.
Yes, I've seen that show.
And it's just a production like America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if he was the first one, if that season was the first season of Rising Stars. But it's definitely the first one I remember. And he came up and he was super popular. And he's one of the He's one of the few that came up through that program that actually succeeded. Yeah, gospel is so huge in Jamaica. Not many people would associate that with the country, but within Jamaica for sure, it is massive. I was playing some of the gospel music for Baha'i here, and they loved it.
Really?
Yeah, they're like, oh man, oh. They're like, this is so energetic, because it's also the way we infuse our energy and disposition into it. So it's not just like prayer and music, like very serene, and so it's very energetic, very.
Yeah, there's a song called "Nothing But Prayers." I don't know if you know it. It's a gospel. I think it's a reggae gospel. And this guy, he came to Kenya recently. He's also sings a lot of gospel reggae music, which is very good. A lot of people listen to it, which is interesting.
Yeah. Music in Jamaica is, even non-Jamaican. The song "Everybody Loves Kung Fu Fighting."
Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah.
That's written, produced, everything by a Jamaican. Oh. Yeah, I didn't even really know that until a short while ago. So all throughout the world, you'd see songs that you'd immediately associate with Jamaica, or even artists. Yeah, you would immediately associate as Jamaican. Yeah. They're like Grace Jones, for example.
Yeah, Grace Jones. Yeah.
So yeah, music is probably our most defining trait, and at least in the world's eye.
So like there's this type of Caribbean music. So how do you call that one? The one that people dance a lot.
There's calypso.
Calypso. Yes. That's not calypso.
Yeah.
That one is shared within a lot of Caribbean countries. Yeah. Because I know Dominican Republic also has that kind of music, and you can see them partying a lot during summer.
Yeah, there's calypso, there's soca.
Oh, soca is my favorite.
Soca, that came from mostly Trinidad and Tobago, and there are also many soca artists throughout the islands on that side. Soca music is also, it's popular in the party scene in Jamaica. So you go to our big carnivals or bacchanals, all of these things, they'll play soca music and get the people moving.
You guys have an interesting culture in Jamaica. It's like no worry culture.
No, it's it's not no worry, but everything will be all right.
Yeah, that kind of thing is an interesting attitude. I was also like one of the things that I was listening also to Cartel when he was talking. A lot of people, it seems like a lot of youth go to prison in Jamaica because of a lot of killings and a lot of how do you call it? Activities, and government just take them to jail, and sometimes no one really looks for where they are. And he was mentioning he was in prison with Mavado's kid, which was also interesting.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So what about your food? Like, what is your what is your staple food? Like,
so we do a lot of what we call jerked meats, like jerk chicken, all these things, but really it's a type of barbecue. That I think most people would be more familiar with that term. So smoked meats,
Oh, smoked meat, yes.
So for jerked meats, we put whatever meat it is. It could be lobster, it could be chicken, beef, pork, and we put it between pimento wood, top and bottom, and then we smoke it and season it with other spices and have that. We also love our ground provisions, so like cassava, sweet potatoes, yams, and then we also have some more unique foods. So my favorite is breadfruit. Two things: breadfruit and ackee. Ackee, I think, is only eaten in Jamaica. Yeah. There are people who think we're crazy for eating ackee.
Someone mentioned that you guys eat crocodile or something. Crocodile meat.
That's very niche. That's because it's illegal. No, it's highly illegal to hunt and trap crocodiles or even interact with them, much less cook them and eat them. But they're black market places.
You're explaining about your food.
Yeah, so breadfruit, it grows on a tree. It grows about, some of them can get really big, like a football, and it's very starchy. So when you get it, you roast it, you open it, you peel it, open it up, and you can do many things with it. But it's like bread. It's it's better than bread to me. I like it. And then ackee is a savory fruit. So it's like scrambled eggs and cheese in terms of what it tastes like, but better. But it's poisonous, no? It can kill you if you make it wrong.
So how is your favorite food being also poisonous food?
It's everybody's favorite food in Jamaica, but people think we're crazy for eating it. But you just have to know how to harvest it. So it's a pod, no? It's a pod, and then while it's a pod, if you force it open, it has poisonous gas in there that seeps into the flesh of the fruit, and if you eat it at that point, you'll die. Or maybe at least get very sick. You have to wait till the pod opens up. It blooms, and then it releases the gases, and then it becomes edible. But it is delicious.
You know, there's this, I think also cassava. This type of cassava also become poisonous if you just drop them on the floor. Like, you know, the process of harvesting them. Yeah. And by mistake, if you cut them, they just turn into poisonous. That's one of the things that I also noticed. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, Jamaica is a teeny little country, but it's very unique, I can say. There isn't many places like it in the world.
So, someone was mentioning about you guys also have chicken curry.
Oh, yeah.
Jamaican chicken curry.
Yeah.
And Katel was saying his mom is the best. Everybody's mom is the best.
Yeah, that comes from India, though, you know?
Yeah.
Because so many Indians came over in a period, and they brought over their dishes. So a lot of our food is inspired by those dishes. So we have a type of curry. They kind of make it here, but it's not the same. It doesn't taste as powerful, and we have a way we prepare it in the pot that really, it's good. Yeah.
Anyway, it was a short podcast, I guess.
Okay.
26 minutes. Unless you have anything else to share,
I'll probably be back. But
okay,
it's a nice little teaser. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Bye.